Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. The Arsenal players have returned for pre-season training after their holidays and their time out. Now this season it's going to be a little bit disrupted, mainly because of the Euros in the Copa America. So it's going to be, a lot disorganized actually. So the likes of Havertz and Trossard are going to come back at a different time. The ones who reached the final of the Euros, that is Raya, Ramsdale, Saka and Rice. Those ones are expected to come back on August 5th. So that is way after our USA tour, so they're going to miss the entirety of the USA tour. They're not going to be back until August 5th. But players like Jesus and Partey have returned. So let's see the players who've returned and what you're expecting this preseason, and which players could end up leaving and which players are going to take part for only a couple of sessions. So as you can see, Jesus and Thomas Partey are back in training. Both of them, suffering with injuries the last couple of seasons, a lot of injury disruptions for Jesus and Partey. Maybe that is one of the reasons why, people want them to be sold. And we're not 100% sure about their future. Jesus, is he going to stay as our main striker? Is he going to be a backup for Havertz? Is he going to be a backup for a new striker? Is he going to play on the right side and back up Saka, or is he going to be on the left side? You've seen him playing on the wings a couple of times this past season, and also the striker a couple of times. But a lot of people believe that Jesus is not the answer in terms of a starting striker. But the question is, will he actually end up staying or leave? For me, I want him to stay, not as a starter. I think he can do a job for us, a couple of games as striker, a couple of games coming on, a couple of games starting. I don't think it's completely useless as people say. No, I think he can do some things for us. There's like 6-7 games that I can count last season that he made the difference. Games like Sevilla, games like Luton away, games like Nottingham, all those games, his goal against Man United, his performances in the Champions League. I think in the group stage last season, Jesus was one of our best players in the Champions League. So let's see how that one goes. Nice to see him back in training. Now we know about his knee injury. We were told that he's always going to come back here and there. So let's see how this one works out for him. He didn't go to the Copa America, so I think that's a good thing in terms of his injury. Thomas Partey has also returned. Another player that you're not certain in terms of his Arsenal future. Is he going to stay? Will he get a bid from Saudi Arabia? Will he be leaving Arsenal? And even if he stays, what is his future? Is he going to be a definite starter? Is it going to be a rotation? If Merino ends up joining Arsenal, will he be playing in the number 6? Will Rice be playing in the number 6? Will Partey play every single game if he's fit? Or will he be rotating sometimes with those players? Or could he end up leaving? Now, the thing with someone like a Partey, he could play pre-season and then play the first games of the season, and then he ends up leaving, after the season has started or something like that. That is very disruptive. I hope we do sort out his future before then. I hope we get to know whether he's going to stay or not. This is his last season. I think as an Arsenal player, his contract is expiring next year, so this is definitely his last year. I really doubt he's going to get a new contract unless he has an absolutely incredible season where he plays for 35 games and he has man of the match performances, and people are like, yeah, that is the Thomas Partey we know. He is back. So let's see what happens to Thomas Partey as well. We're expecting some news on that one. Another player just like Jesus, they've been disrupted with injuries, but we did see at the end of last season, when Partey comes back, our midfield automatically becomes better. He's the perfect player to have right in front of the defense. Not as a right back, right in front of the defense. He complements the likes of Rice and Odegaard very well. So let's see what his future holds at Arsenal. Another player who's been disrupted by injuries, but he's back with a new look, is Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu is back as well. New look. He looks totally different. But yeah, injuries is also affected him. Last season, he also had to go to the Asian Cup. We didn't see him a lot, but the times we saw him in the Champions League a couple of times, I think against Sevilla, against Lons at home, even the games against, I think, Man City coming off the bench. He had an impact in those games. He actually scored on the final day of the season against Everton. A day he could have ended up winning a title. We could have had Tomiyasu scoring on that day. He scored on that day, and he looked quite good on that day. Nice to have him back. Now, there was talks about him potentially being a starter at left back. There's potentially talk about him being a starter at right back, but I don't think Tomiyasu will end up being a starter. I think he's an impact player. And Tomiyasu, there's been talks of him being involved in swap deals and all that. I don't want Tomiyasu to go anywhere. I feel like Tomiyasu is very important. This is a player where you need someone to man-mark, and in a game that you need to, have defensive players and man-mark players like Sane and those quick wingers, you need a Tomiyasu. I was very surprised we didn't start the last season against Bayern Munich. This is a player you can bring on in the last 20 minutes at left back. You can bring on in a back five and play him at center back. You can start him as a right back. And I don't think there's any time that Tomiyasu comes onto the pitch and Arsenal fans are like, oh, Tomiyasu, I'm not sure about this. I don't think. Have you ever thought that, Tomiyasu is not a good answer. Like, why is he coming on? You know, back in the day, a couple of players would come on the pitch and you're like, even now, we have a couple of players who, when they come on the pitch, fans are not satisfied. With Tomiyasu, great to have him back. We know the kind of impact he'd have at Arsenal. We know how important he is in this Arsenal team. So great to have him back in the team. Let's hope he has an injury-free season. Let's hope he stays. I think for him, he's going to stay. Now, if he stays, will he be a starter or will Ben White still be a starter? Ben White is back as well. The guy refused to join England for the Euros. I'm happy for him. At least he has rested. I'm happy that he's rested. He's played a lot of games the last 3 seasons. He's always very consistent. Last season, he did miss a couple of games, but really, really happy to have Ben White back. Very important player in our team. Last season, we saw a lot of improvements from him, especially in terms of attacking and the crossing ability. The goals, I mean, he almost scored a hat-trick against Chelsea. He scored twice in that game. The assists he had against Brentford for Declan Rice and Havertz, amazing. The connection with Saka and Odegaard, I think Ben White really does make Saka and Odegaard better on that right side. I think they have a very good relationship, and even with Saliba. Positions like right back, you have to have several relationships. You know, as a goalkeeper, you need to have a relationship with your, your defenders. As a central striker, you know, you can have a relationship with the number 10 and the left winger and the right winger. The right back, you need to have a relationship with the center back, with the the player playing in front of you. When you drive forward, you need to have a relationship with the number 10. Do they know where you are? If you drift inside, does Odegaard know when to go to the right side? Does Saliba know when to cover for you on the right side? Like, there's a lot of several relationships that have to be going on. So really, really great to have Ben White back. Another important season. The players we signed in 2021, the likes of Lokonga and Tavares, we are getting rid of them. But one player that is definitely not going anywhere is Ben White. Very, very important in our team. Speaking of relationship with players on that right side, Martin Odegaard, another player that I'm absolutely relieved that he's had, a break in terms of not playing during the off season. He needed that break. He's been enjoying himself on holidays. We've been seeing a lot of his pictures on holiday. Our captain, he is one of the reasons why this team functions a lot well. Like, if we didn't have Odegaard for 38 games out of 38, we would know. In terms of pressing, in terms of, the creating of chances. We created 100 plus chances last season, could easily have had 20 assists if we are finishing our chances. 2 seasons ago, he was very good in terms of goals. Last season, didn't score many, but in terms of everything, creativity and the pressing and the controlling of midfield, Odegaard is very important in that team. And I don't think you can do without him. He's very, very important. Let's hope he has an injury-free season. I'm so happy that he's had that break. One of my favorite Arsenal players, another big season. Let's hope this is a season that he does lift a trophy for us. Very important player. There's no rumors about him or Ben White leaving Arsenal like that, as I talked about at the beginning. Odegaard is definitely staying. He's definitely going to, be captaining the team, and he's definitely the players we're going to be seeing for the whole preseason, because he had a break for the entire, obviously the entire 1 month since the season has ended, 5-6 weeks ago. Another player who is back. This is another injury, not injury prone, but he had a bad injury last season. But really, really happy to have him back. That's Jurriën Timber. Another important season. So we thought he was going to be a definite left back next season, but it doesn't really look like that. We are trying to get a left back. So Timber could be like a Tomiyasu. He could feature more than Tomiyasu, but he's a player who can play at left back, at right back, at center back. We had is mainly going to be playing in the Ben White and Saliba positions, maybe rotating sometimes. Sometimes you could see him in midfield as well. Like, if you're playing a back 3, I think Timber could be one of the players who go into midfield. Another very, very important player in our team. Really happy to have him back. He's basically like a new signing. Like, when I see Timber, coming to the team like this, I feel like it's a new signing, like very, very important. We basically saw him for 2 games last season, the first game of the season and the last game of the season. That is crazy. Like, seeing him for the first game of the season and the last game of the season, that is absolutely crazy. We literally missed him for a whole 36 games that we saw him at the beginning and at the end. But he is basically like a new signing. Can't wait to see how he does next season. Fabio Vieira again. Could he stay? Could he end up leaving? I predicted him to have a good season last season, to be a surprise of the season, but injuries and suspensions put a halt to his to his season. And a lot of people have asked for him to move on. It's either him or Smith Rowe, but it's looking like it's going to be Smith Rowe leaving, and you're going to put faith again in Fabio Vieira. He had a very good preseason last year. The goal he scored against Barcelona, the penalty in the Community Shield final against Man City. He had a couple of good performances as well. I think this is a big season. I think, for example, from preseason up to January, if he doesn't perform, he gets injuries again and he performs poorly, he could even easily be sold in January. We might not even have to wait until the end of the season. But big season for him is a player who can cover for Odegaard if he's, fit. I don't think he's ever lost the creative ability. I don't think he has lost the creative ability at all. But the performances haven't really been there, but let's see if it does stay, especially in preseason now that the likes of Saka are not there. We are going to see more of players like Fabio Vieira. Now, Saka is not there. Reece Nelson is there, but how long will he be there for? A player that has been linked to West Ham. We're expecting bids very soon. If he travels to USA, it's going to be interesting. But if he doesn't, there's a big chance that his future could be sorted out by then, and Nelson could be on his way out before Arsenal travel to the USA. Arsenal asking for a certain number, certain fee. But will we get it? Will we not? Again, we have to wait and see, but good to have him back in training as well. Other players to come back. Edin Ketia is back as well, just like Nelson. Will we see them traveling to the USA or not? Smith Rowe is back in training as well, and a couple of other players. But we've been told that the players who played the Euro final, the 4 of them, are not going to be back until August 5th. For Havertz and Trossard, when are they going to be coming back? Which other players am I forgetting in the team? Gabriel and Martinelli, I don't know when they're going to be back. Maybe around the same time as Havertz and Trossard. I think they got eliminated at the same time. Am I missing anyone? Jorginho, around the same time as well with Havertz and Trossard. Probably I don't have exact dates, but they could be back for the USA tour. They will travel with the team and then maybe not feature in the first game, but they could be back after that. But nice to see the Arsenal boys back. International football is done. It's now time to focus on the Arsenal team. This is a big season ahead of us. Big season. So those are all the players that are back. Any updates on any other players who come back, we'll be having those updates, but great to have all these guys back. These ones are going to be very important in preseason. We're starting it on 25th against Bournemouth, and then that weekend we play against Man United, and then after that we play Liverpool as our final game of preseason. And Arsenal on their website wrote those players who hadn't been away on the international duty at Trios or Copa America reported back today. Club photographer Stewart was stationed ready as Odegaard, Tomiyasu, Ketia, Timber, Ben White, Nelson, Jesus, Thomas Partey, Vieira, and Emil Smith Rowe are all pictured in training. So all of those guys are back. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.